morning, and first of all, thank you to Professor Salman Sharif for giving me the opportunity. The topic is subretinal hemorrhage. I am Professor Dr. Mohammad Anwar Chaudhary from Lahore, Janab Lahore. It's a fairly known subject, and it's a very one of the neurosurgical emergencies, and it should be having dealt efficiently. So, subretinal hemorrhage is a neurosurgical emergency, and hemorrhage is in the subarachnoid space. Less common, but an important cause of stroke. Its etiology, head injury or head trauma is one of the most common cause, but we are discussing today the spontaneous subretinal hemorrhage, which is usually due to rupture of aneurysm, which is usually a saccular aneurysm. Other causes include bleeding from the vascular malformation (AVM) and extension of the subarachnoid space from a primary intracerebral hemorrhage. Myocardial aneurysm mostly result from the infected emboli due to bacterial endocarditis, causing septic degeneration of arteries and subsequent dilatation and rupture. Secular barrier aneurysm, autopsy and angiography studies have found that about 2% of adults harbor intracranial aneurysms. Size is usually 2 millimeter to 2 to 3 centimeter. Average size is 7.5 millimeter. Those which rupture are usually 10 millimeter or more, but smaller one can also get ruptured. Uh, Different shapes and forms, round connected to the parent artery by a narrow stalk. This is called the neck. Some other may also be broad based. So this is the barrierism having a neck, and the other is fusiform dilatation as well. Barrierism is usually elongated. These are the various types of the cerebral aneurysms showing neck and its fundus. Mechanism of formation of aneurysm. One theory is that there is result a developmental deficiency in the media and elastica. Other theories say that aneurysm process is initiated by the focal destruction of the internal elastic membrane caused by hemodynamic forces acting at bifurcation and branching arteries. As a result of local weakness in the vessel, intima bulges out covered by adventitia. Sac gradually enlarges. For patients of subretinal hemorrhage who arrive alive at hospital, the mortality rate is next about 45 minutes, 45%. Of those who survive, more than 50% are left with major neurological deficit as a result of the initial hemorrhage, cerebral vasospasm with infarction or hydrocephalus. Secular or biliary aneurysm, the patient who survive but aneurysm is obliterated and the rate of rebleed is 20% in the first 2 weeks, 30% in the first 1 month, and 3% per year. Annual risk of rupture of aneurysm of less than 10 millimeter is zero point 0.1, and for aneurysm more than 10 is zero point 0.5 to 1. The surgical morbidity rate far exceeds these percentages. Circular aneurysm, joint aneurysm, they may be more than 2.5 centimeter diameter, accounts for 5% of cases. The three most common locations are terminal internal carotid artery, middle cerebral artery bifurcation, and top of the basilar artery. So the risk of rupture is 6% in the first year after identification and may remain high indefinitely. They often cause symptoms of compression of the brain or cranial nerves. These are the aneurysm. Pathophysiology, sacral aneurysm occur at the bifurcation of large to medium-sized intracranial arteries, rupture into subarachnoid space, into the basal cistern, or into the parenchyma of the adjacent brain. Approximately 85% of aneurysm occur in the anterior circulation, and most of them are on the circle of Willis. About 20% patients have multiple aneurysms, may at mirror image sites as well. This is the circle of Willis showing the various aneurysm at various places. And as I told earlier, 85% are at the anterior circulation. Aneurysm are seldom seen in children on autopsy, so SAH in children is rare. Beyond childhood, they gradually increase in size and frequently rupture increase between 35 to 65 years of age. There is increased incidence of polycystic kidneys, fibromuscular dysplasias of extracranial arteries, myomoya disease, AVM malformation, correction of aorta. These are associated diseases which may be cause of the aneurysms. Numerous studies have documented that familial occurrence of sacral aneurysm and support of the idea that genetic factor may play a role in their development. Pathophysiology continued. The aneurysm develops typically from a neck with a dome. At the site of rupture, most often dome wall thins out and tear that allows bleeding, often zero point 0.5 millimeter long. Aneurysm size and site are important in the predicting risk of rupture. Those more than 7 millimeter of diameter and those at the top of basilar artery and those at the region of posterior communicating artery are at greater risk of rupture. These are again blood clot flowing from the aneurysm rupture, and it is from the fundus or the peripheral part of the aneurysm. And also showing the vasospasm here. The three most common complications of aneurysm are rebleed, vasospasm, and hydrocephalus. We will discuss ahead. So clinical manifestation, one of them is the most unruptured and intracranial aneurysms are completely asymptomatic. An aneurysm who goes small ruptures and lead to blood in the subretinal space, so-called sentinel bleeds. Symptoms are often due to rupture and resultant subretinal pressure. Although some present a mass effect on the cranial nerves or brain parenchyma. Uh, the headache is usually severe and vomiting, and sometimes patient become unconscious as well. Severe generalized headache occurs suddenly. Patient remain lucid with varying degrees of neck stiffness. Rarely, patient suddenly becomes unconscious without any preceding complaint. Uh, in these rapidly evolving cases, bleed is so massive that intracranial pressure approaches systemic blood pressure, thus really compromising cerebral perfusion. In less severe cases, conscious patient remain conscious, or if lost, may be regained in minutes to hours. Residual drowsiness, confusion, and amnesia accompanied by severe headache may persist for several days in the less severe cases. Aneurysm usually occur when the patient is active. In some cases, may occur while straining on stool or sexual intercourse or lifting of heavy weight or some other sustained exertions. In patients who survive initial rupture, the most feared complication is rupture, rebleed, which may occur any time from minutes to 2 3 weeks. Headache, 45% cases, severe headache associated with uh, falling complaints. For example, patient often call headache the worst headache of my life. Similarly, the characteristic are sudden and sudden unexplained headache at any location should raise suspicion of subretinal hemorrhage and must be investigated. Headache usually generalized, often with neck stiffness and vomiting is common. Pain at other sites, occipital, posterior cervical pain, and sign of posterior inferior cerebellar pica bleed. Pain in or around the eyes and lower temple can occur with expanding MC aneurysms. Loss of consciousness. Uh, this is when there is a rapid loss of blood due to bleeding from the aneurysm site. This may account for sudden transient loss of consciousness, or they may nearly half the patient, which may precede by the headache. In 10% cases, aneurysm bleed is severe enough to cause loss of consciousness for several days. Among the clinical manifestation, focal deficit, anterior cerebral artery or MCA bifurcation may rupture into the adjacent brain or subdural space and form a hematoma large enough to produce the mass effect. Uh, Similarly, third are palsy, ptosis, diplopia, dilatation of pupil, divergent squint indicate aneurysm, that is the junction of the posterior communicating artery and posterior cerebral arteries. Sixth are palsy may indicate aneurysm in the cavernous sinus, but uni or bilateral palsy could be because of the raised ICP. Unilateral blindness indicate aneurysm lying anteromedially and the circle of Willis usually at the origin of ophthalmic artery. Transient paresis of the one or both lower limbs indicate anterior communicating artery. Aneurysm that has interfered with the circulation of anterior cerebral arteries. Hemiparesis or aphasia suggestive of aneurysm at the first bifurcation of middle cerebral artery. Differential diagnosis. The headache is usually very severe, and it sometimes thundered collapse, headache, a variant of migraine that simulates subacute hemorrhage. And similarly, the headache of explosive onset may also be caused by ingestion of symptomatic drugs or ingestion of tyramine containing food. The patient who is taking MAO inhibitors. Sudden severe headache may also be symptom of pheochromocytoma. Cerebral venous thrombosis, diffuse vasospasm, pituitary apoplexy, intracranial or extracranial dissections, hypertensive encephalopathy. These are conditions may be mimicking the subacute hemorrhage. Uh, but usually the sudden severe headache associated with the subacute hemorrhage is accompanied by the neck stiffness, which is usually, and also there is vomiting in subacute hemorrhage, while neck stiffness may not be in other few conditions. So definite workup for the aneurysm is always required in the form of CT scan, lumbar puncture, and diagnosis still remain doubtful. Then cerebral angiography is required. Delayed neurological deficit may be uh, major causes of delayed neurological deficit may be rebleed, hydrocephalus, vasospasm, and hyponatremia. Rebleed is the most dangerous, and it should be more common in the first few days and first 2 weeks, and its incidence decreases after 1 month. And rebleed is associated with 60% mortality rate. Hydrocephalus is another grave complication, and that should be dealt efficiently, and they may lead to stupor, coma, and even death can occur if it not dealt accordingly. So subacute hydrocephalus develop gradually and also dealt by ventricular drainage or the shunt, etc. Chronic hydrocephalus may develop over the months and can be dealt by the like just like NPH by hydrocephalus shunt, etc. Vasospasm is another drastic complication, and it should be managed accordingly to prevent the ischemic defects to the brain. And in most of the cases, the vasospasm can be prevented by nimodipine, a calcium channel blocker, giving adequate fluid, maintaining blood pressure, and keeping the patient sedated. Hyponatremia, another complication that can be given treated by the giving adequate fluids and daily checkup of the electrolytes and maintaining the good blood pressure. Coming toward the investigation, CT scan is the investigation of choice, and lumbar puncture is almost not done nowadays because CT scan is performed within 48 hours. It can be very much diagnostic. So then we can go for the definitive investigation, that is angiography. Previously, it was said the DSA is the gold standard, but nowadays you can get much more information by the CTA as well, and we can decide with CTA angiography. Similarly, in some cases, when the CTA is not giving this required information, you can go for the DSA, which is still the gold standard test. So these are the lab investigation, echo, and the treatment is regarding the management of subacute hemorrhage is same: airways, blood pressure, and preventing for the rebleed and vasospasm, hydrocephalus, hyponatremia, and permeembolism. Similarly, another complication is the seizures, so we have to give the prophylactic and anti-epileptics. And as regard the vasospasm, we have to give the calcium channel blocker. Nimodipine is the drug of choice. For hydrocephalus, of course, you can go for the ventricular drainage by shunt or EVD. Role of steroid is also there. It is said that it may help to reduce the neck stiffness and resolve the initial effects of the subretinal hemorrhage. Then for assessment, Hunter scale, it is very important, and for the grading and as well for management. Grade 1 and 2 are should be an intervention should be ideally within 24 hours. Grade 3 patient, they should be treated initially conservatively to convert into grade 2 or 1, and similarly grade 4, they must be treated initially conservatively. So the best option for the treatment is one is the clipping. For example, clip is being applied here. The other option is endovascular techniques. So in summary, it's a neurosurgical emergency. Subretinal hemorrhage is a neurosurgical emergency. It should be dealt accordingly, very efficiently, preferably in the ICU setting, and we should proceed for the CT scan as much as early possible to make the diagnosis. And we have to prevent manage the three most important complications, that is the rebleeds, vasospasm, and the hydrocephalus efficiently. Thank you very much.